about a pending case, and you have to exercise care when you talk about a pending case to make sure it doesn't in any way make more difficult the proceedings that are to come. And then it is also a very active investigation, an investigation that is not complete. And I want to say right up front, one of the reasons that we are doing this press conference, despite the challenges, is to give out some phone numbers. These are phone numbers that are available to people who may be witnesses in this or possibly related cases, who may even have been victims, if any, in relation to the two defendants we're about to speak about. Telephone number one is for the Philadelphia Police Department's Special Victims Unit, and that number is 215-685-3251. I will repeat them before we're done today. There is also a number for this office's Victim Services Unit for anyone who, for whatever reason, wants to contact the DA's office with or without also contacting the other numbers. The number here, 215-686-5709. And then there is the War Hotline. I should say more specifically, there is the hotline that is used by WAR and is also now known as the Philadelphia Center Against Sexual Violence. That number is 215-985-3333. So what are we talking about today? We are, in a moment, going to hear the details of the charging of two adult defendants, two adult male defendants, with a variety of charges that relate to sexual abuse and exploitation, that relate to child pornography. Both of these defendants are clergy. I do not say that lightly, because on the one hand, it means that they are people who hold a position of trust. They are people who, in some instances, may have had access to vulnerable victims from that position of trust. Pretty much all judges and all sentencing guidelines systems recognize that position of trust, when it is abused, has its criminal consequences. But I also say that because there are a lot of good people of faith who do everything right. They don't do this. So anybody who wants to use this as an excuse to hate religion, to hate clergy, to hate a church, to hate parishioners, I mean, that's just a stereotype. That just ain't right. That's kind of like the nonsense of saying all priests are perverts. Completely untrue and entirely wrong. So I hope no one will walk away from this press conference doing that, because what we do when we take down people in a position of trust who do criminal, terrible things, whether they are law enforcement officers, whether they are clergy, whether they are elected officials, is we lift up all the good ones. And I hope that is what we're actually doing today. I want to recognize some of the good people who are here, and then we will get into the details. We have with us ADA Katrina Wadas, that's K-A-T-R-I-N-A, Wadas is W-A-D-A-S, who is the chief of the DAO's Family Violence Sexual Assault Unit. We have ADA Myra Reyes, and that is spelled M-A-Y-R-A Reyes, R-E-Y-E-S, who is supervising the DAO's Family Violence Sexual Assault Unit. We have the assigned assistant DA in that same unit, whose name is Helena Von Naj, and that is spelled H-E-L-E-N-A, Von, V-O-N, there's then a space and a capital N, Helena Von Naj, capital V-O-N, space, capital N, A-G-Y. Did I get that right, Helena?
It's a lowercase v.
Lowercase v. Everything I said but lowercase v. We also have with us some very familiar names who do very important work for victims and survivors in this office, Donna Woods and Mariel Dela Cruz. And finally, we have with us, and we are honored to have with us, the Acting Executive Director for WAR, the Philadelphia Center Against Sexual Violence, and that is Lakeisha Anthony, spelled Laquisha, Anthony, the usual way. All right, so the two defendants who have now been arrested, charged, arraigned, and are waiting to go to a preliminary hearing. Those two defendants are Bryan Jackson, date of birth February 20th, 1984, who serves as the senior pastor at the Garden of Prayer World's, WORLD''S Prayer Center, a Pentecostal congregation, from what I understand. The second defendant is Isaiah Banks, date of birth 2/2/1996. Most recently served as senior pastor of Second Pilgrim Baptist Church in North Philadelphia. My understanding is that he resigned in a hurry and in the last couple months, but he served there during the time frame that is covered by these alleged criminal activities. I have several more things to say. However, I think at this point we should go directly to our speakers so they can explain the details of the case and offer some other insights that I think show the big picture here. We have, speaking first, ADA Katrina Wattis, who will briefly discuss the work of the DAO's Family Violence Sexual Assault Unit. We then have ADA Helena Von Naj, and Helena will be talking about the case itself, the defendants, their charges, and the details that it is appropriate to mention at this time. Third, we will hear from Lakeisha Anthony about the organization she runs, victim services, response, and some pretty layered, sophisticated, important things that I couldn't possibly explain myself. When that is completed, I'll have a few more comments, and then we will go to question and answer. I would ask you at this time, please confine your questions to this topic. If you have questions about other things, they can go to our communications unit after the press conference or later today. But out of a certain level of understanding of how sensitive and how, frankly, explosive this will be within a number of different communities, how triggering it may be for some people, for reasons I think you can figure out. Because of that, I would just ask you respectfully to confine your questions to today's topic, and if there's anything else you'd like to hear about, talk to us privately afterwards, and we'll see what we can do. Without further ado, ADA Katrina Wattis.
Good morning. As the DA said, my name is Katrina Wattis, and I'm the supervisor of the Family Violence and Sexual Assault Unit at the District Attorney's Office. I'm joined today by two important members of that unit. That would be ADA Myra Reyes, who is the Assistant Chief of Family Violence and Sexual Assault, as well as ADA Helena Von Naj, who has been specially assigned to vertically prosecute the cases that we're here to talk about today. First, I just want to explain that FESA is a specialty unit at the District Attorney's Office dedicated to the prosecution of domestic violence and sexual assault offenses. These are crimes that are prosecuted by some of the most experienced attorneys in the office, and this is a particular case that's being handled vertically by an experienced prosecutor. FESA is partnering closely for this investigation and for this case, not only with the Special Victims Unit, but with advocacy groups such as WAR, or Philadelphia Center Against Sexual Violence, an advocacy group that serves victims in the community affected by these types of crimes. So at this time, I want to introduce you to the ADA assigned to the case against Bryan Jackson and Isaiah Banks. Like I said, that's ADA Helena Von Naj, who I'm going to invite to speak at this time to the charges and some of the evidence that we have in this case.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Katrina, and thank you, DA Krasner. So the alleged facts are that over several years, Mr. Banks groomed more than one minor in the community to produce child pornography, and then provided that pornography to Mr. Jackson, who also directly communicated with these children for the purpose of getting more videos and photos of that type. So first, I would like to commend these children in their bravery in coming forward and starting this process. It's extremely difficult to have to speak about these things to law enforcement, to the community members, and eventually in front of the defendants when this goes to a preliminary hearing and eventually a trial. And many thanks also to the hard work, to the detectives of Special Victims Unit for all of their hard work in this case, including securing search warrants for the defendants' phones that show evidence of this exchange with the children and with each other and the exchange of these videos and photos. This is still an ongoing investigation, potentially into further victims, if any come forward. They are currently charged, both defendants are currently charged with the creation of child pornography, sexual exploitation of children, conspiracy, unlawful contact with a minor, corruption of minors, and criminal use of communication facilities for multiple victims, together both defendants. There are other charges also, and there may be additional charges forthcoming with these victims and any new victims that do come forward. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lakeisha Anthony. I am the Acting Executive Director at WAR, Philadelphia Center Against Sexual Violence. Today I stand before you in response to deeply troubling charges involving trusted community leaders who have been accused of sexual abuse and exploitation of minors. These allegations are profoundly disturbing, not only because of the alleged harm inflicted on children, but because they represent a violation of trust within spaces that are meant to be safe, sacred, and protective. At WAR, our mission is to eliminate all forms of sexual violence and to advocate for and support those impacted by sexual abuse. We do this by providing trauma-informed services, prevention education, and systems advocacy throughout our community. In moments like this, our hearts are with children, survivors, and families affected. We recognize that cases involving abuse by authority figures, particularly figures of faith leaders, can create layers of trauma, including betrayal, confusion, isolation, and fear. Survivors may struggle not only with the abuse itself, but also with the loss of trust in institutions and communities they once relied on. So to every survivor, or in every family member and every community member impacted by this, we want you to know that you are not alone and that support is available. WAR provides prevention comprehensive, confidential, and compassionate services to survivors of sexual violence, including a 24-hour crisis hotline that anyone can call, individual counseling and therapy, medical and legal advocacy where we are supporting victims in the courtroom with the DA's office and the DAs who are here today, support for non-offending caregivers and family members, and prevention education and community outreach to our community. We have a wealth of knowledge in supporting survivors of child sexual abuse and exploitation. We also understand that cases like this can be triggering not only for those impacted by the sexual violence directly, but others who may have experienced abuse in the past, others who have experienced abuse prior in this moment. And public news coverage can bring up many painful memories and emotions. And we want individuals to know that if someone is feeling overwhelmed or triggered and are needing support, we encourage you to reach out to our hotline. WAR's hotline is 215-985-3333. There is a trained advocate that will be available at any time to listen, to provide support, and to help connect with resources. This case is not isolated. It reflects a broader societal issue that demands collective action. Preventing sexual violence requires all of us, all of the organizations, leaders, families, and community members to remain vigilant, informed, and committed to creating safer environments for all individuals, especially vulnerable children. At WAR, we remain committed to standing with survivors and amplifying their voices and working towards a future free of sexual violence. And we can't do that alone. So it requires all of you, even those who are reporting this particular incident today. We ask that you would make sure that individuals know that they have access to care. And also for all the church members who are out there who need some sort of support or counseling services, that they can call our hotline. And I'll give that number once again. It's 215-985-3333. And I thank you for listening. And once again, we are here to support.
My thanks to all the speakers. Just a couple points I want to stress, and thank you to Acting Director Lakeisha Anthony for repeating the WAR hotline, which was 215-985-3333, the DAO hotline, 215-686-5709, Philadelphia Police Department Special Victims Unit line, 215-685-3251. Not only do we encourage anyone who has knowledge, either as a witness or even potentially as a victim, to come forward in relation to this or any other case that is of concern to you of a similar nature, I want you to understand, for those of you who may have hesitated, that it is easier in some ways than it used to be. And that is for two reasons. Number one, you need to know that the period of time in which criminal charges can be brought is long. It is long, especially for child victims. Number two, forensics. I know I talk about forensics a lot. Let me just give you one reason why. Some people imagine that if they come forward to describe a very private violation, that it will just be their word. That'll be the only thing out there to prove the case, that they're going to be in some fashion excessively questioned, that they're going to be subjected to some sort of stigma if that happens, and certainly those concerns are real. But when you have people caught on their cell phones, when you have the text back and forth, when you have the electronic communication, and in this case, the photographs that are themselves criminal in nature, it means the case is so much stronger. It is so much more likely to result in a guilty plea than a trial. It is a situation where the most victimized people may not have to testify at all, because it may be possible to prove the case through forensics and through the testimony, for example, of an adult witness or of a parent. So please, do not hesitate to tell the truth now, to tell the truth to us, to WAR, to the Special Victims Unit. It's important. It's important for you, but it's also important for everyone else like you who might be or might have been victimized, and whom you can help by doing that. All right. So it is now time for question and answer. I respectfully repeat, we are going to answer questions confined to this topic today. Channel 3 CBS, Mr. Gardner, do you have any questions, sir?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Channel 6 ABC, Becca Hendrickson, do you have any questions?
Yes, I do have a couple questions. First of all, are you able to tell us how many victims there are in this case?
The short answer is no. We chose our language carefully for all the reasons I mentioned. We can tell you that there is more than one, but this is a very active investigation, and it will become clear, I would say, in the next couple of months how many more than one it may be. Do you have another question, Ms. Hendrickson?
Are you able to give us age ranges of the victims here?
The only age range that we're willing to give at this time is that they are minors. And that's not because we're trying to be sneaky. It's to protect them, and also because some of this information will come out in court soon enough. Is there any other question, Ms. Hendrickson?
Yeah, one more if you don't mind. When did these alleged crimes happen?
I'll get the expert up here on that one.
So as I said, it was sort of a process over a course of several years, but the specific age range we're looking at right now that it's charged is between January and May of this year, 2026.
Thank you. Channel 10 NBC, Miguel Martinez.
I'll do the English questions first, and then afterward break off to Spanish.
Sure.
Do that. Is there a specific gender affected, or can you speak to that?
We will not speak to that today. Some of that information will come out later, but we're not speaking to that today.
Are there other people within the churches who are also being looked at in terms of age elaborating or hiding or withholding information?
What I can say at this time is it's a very active investigation. We continue to gather information. Part of our reason for doing this press conference, given the very sensitive nature, was to do what we've been able to do very successfully in the past. It's to notify people who may have a story to tell or may remember something that happened in the past that seemed off, but at the time they didn't have enough information to understand the broader context. So we expect that we may be in possession of more information as a result of this press conference than we were before, but we're not in a position to give out much information on what we have right now in order to preserve the integrity of the investigation and also the privacy of those who were victimized. Is there anything else, Mr. Martinez? All right, and later we'll do the other thing. Okay, very good. 29 Fox, Sheena Ferreira. Hi. Well, I'm decidedly not a faith leader, but I certainly do have a message to faith leaders, which is those of you, the vast, vast majority of you who are doing great work in your community, keep it up. And anybody who isn't, you better stop it and get out of the way, because it is incredibly important that our communities have institutions of faith that have integrity. It's incredibly important that the positions of trust that are held are worthy of that trust. I will say again, because I think it's important to say, it's just wrong to suggest that somehow every teacher, is a criminal pervert if one is caught doing something, or every priest, or every pastor, or every theater coach, or every, shall I go on and on, or every daycare operator, or every summer camp operator. That's just not fair. And it's a stereotype, and that is not at all the message that should come from this. The message that should come from this is that people are going to be accountable, no matter where they are on some hierarchy or some pyramid of status. They're going to be accountable, including faith leaders, if they abuse that trust and they commit crimes. Sure.
I'd like to add to that as well. So for faith leaders, you have the opportunity to be a beacon of hope and support for individuals who have experienced these forms of crimes. Sexual violence is something that is very prevalent in our community, and oftentimes many individuals will disclose their trauma to their faith leaders or their faith communities first. You can partner with organizations like us in the DA's office with victim service agencies to bring in resources and support and education to help people to understand the impact of sexual violence in the city of Philadelphia and how people can be supported and how we can prevent it as well. So to faith leaders, you have a responsibility to support and to help individuals through their pain.
Thank you for that. All right, let me see. Ms. Ferreira, anything else?
One follow-up is how you're speaking. I know with this being a murder situation, oftentimes you have to get different types of actions from the person. How were, you can speak to, if you can, I'm not sure, but how did these pastors have access to these minors? Were they pastors at all? Are they able to check that?
I understand the question, and I appreciate the job that all of you have. It's just not a question I can answer at this time. There will be more information coming out in court proceedings, as it must, as required by law, but not today, if I may say that to you respectfully. Philadelphia Inquirer, Jillian Kramer, do you have any questions? Okay, WHYY, Tom McDonald, do you have any questions, sir?
Can you, number one, tell us how many instances are portrayed on the evidence? And number two, are there any where you haven't identified the victims?
What I can tell you is more than one instance is conveyed in the evidence. And I can also tell you that we will not be answering today whether any of them are unidentified victims. I recognize this is not the most satisfying press conference for some of you.
If people come forward, if you tell us that they're unidentified victims, wouldn't that encourage the victims to come forward?
It might do that. It may also inform certain people more than they need to be informed right now of what they have to worry about. And I understand. I am in no way demeaning or describing your question as inappropriate. It's an appropriate question. Unfortunately, it's also appropriate for me not to answer at this time. Do you have any other questions, Mr. McDonald? Okay. Sherry Stone, Philadelphia Tribune.
Can you tell us more about the, I don't know if you can tell us any detail about the text back and forth, like what the questions were? Was it thing like, take your clothes off and send me a picture? I mean, you don't know, you didn't say that. Or that's like too much info. Were they boys? Were they girls? I don't know.
Ms. Stone, thank you for the question. We're not going to answer today whether the victims were boys, girls, or both, for a lot of the reasons I did mention previously. I can tell you that the evidence in the case includes electronic evidence. It does include communications, communications between a variety of perpetrators, victims, witnesses. However, because we need to preserve the integrity of the investigation and because we hope to be able to gather additional evidence, I have to be very cautious in not letting out too much information. I wouldn't want someone who did something wrong to think they're safe, and I wouldn't want someone who is thinking about coming forward to tell the truth to hesitate. And so that is part of the challenge with this press conference. My apologies to all of you who would like more, but this is the challenge that we have in these kinds of cases. This is why we don't do as much press around these cases as we sometimes do with others. I will say this, I think it's very clear that we will be able to say a lot more a lot later, and we will be able to say more later, but this is what we can say for now. Mr. Cipriano, do you have any, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, okay. All right. We have a comment in relation to bail.
Sure. Mr. Banks' bail was set at a total of $600,000 monetary. He posted that bail and is currently out. Mr. Jackson's bail was set at a total of $100,000. He posted that bail and is currently out. We did appeal the setting of Mr. Jackson's bail when the magistrate set it, and our appeal to the MC court judge was denied.
All right. Let me see. Mr. Cipriano, do you have any questions that are on point?
Mr. Krasner, Paul George was disbarred in federal court.
Sir, that's off point. You and I both know it, and I've said it 3 times. Do you have a question on point?
You're not going to answer questions about your head of your law.
We are not answering it today, Mr. Cipriano. I know you're a big defender of some of the priests who've been convicted. I know that, but unless you want to go there, or talk about your defense of Sandusky, unless you want to go there, maybe we should stay on point.
Boy, that's tough for you, I can tell, as you just demonstrated. You say we can refer questions to your PR staff. In 8.5 years, I've never gotten a response from them.
Thank you all.
So, Mr. Krasner, Paul George disbarred in federal court. Nancy Wickleman suspended for 3 years in federal court.
Ralph,
I'm sure you're aware of it.
are you ever ashamed of yourself? I mean, honestly, you ever look in the mirror and say, what am I?
I'm ashamed of you, Mr. Krasner. You're a disgrace.